Ariel Helwani officially has no friends left in the MMA industry. Dana White swore him off years ago, and now it looks like he's burning bridges with the other organizations that he has been connected to. And Ariel Helwani's been cooking everybody on Twitter today. And in this video, we're going to talk about him burning every bridge he has left in the MMA community. I'm Wyatt. This is Fight Society. Now, the thing that sparked this entire outrage between Ariel Helwani and multiple MMA promoters on Twitter today was the GFL canceling their debut events. They're supposed to be launching May 24th and 5th in Los Angeles, the main event being Donn Davis versus Tony Ferguson. The plug was pulled on that event, or events, because it was supposed to be back-to-back days, but the plug was pulled on that event just about a month and a half before. And that is what sparked all of this online. After the GFL canceled their debut events or postponed them, Ariel Helwani on his show said it is possible GFL could still have an event, but honestly, that would be pretty shocking to me at this point. To me, the GFL is a story that has come and gone. There is a greater story here, the state of MMA business. PFL isn't paying as much as they once did. The Bellator #2 brand doesn't exist anymore. One Championship isn't paying nearly as much for MMA fighters. GFL was that hope. This kind of promotion doesn't exist, and at the end of the day, that's not good for the fighters or the business. And this is what Ariel Helwani, two of his producers slash co-hosts, Rick and GC, host a show on Ariel's channel called The Boys in the Back. Ariel called into the show to discuss, and this is what he had to say.
Greater story here as well. Like I think, you know, could they get one? Maybe, but like honestly, that would be shocking to me at this point. To me, it's a story that has come and gone. The GFL, that is.
What would one?
And there's the greater story.
Are you saying one event or one investment?
He just wants to survive. Like, you know, he just wants to. This is his reputation. Who knows if he can work in combat sports again? And this is a guy who has worked in combat sports for many, many years, had World Series of Fighting Canada and had a Canadian promotion and all this stuff. The bigger question is the state of the MMA business. We know what the MMA business is. It's the UFC. They are the top dog. But the MMA business has always had a 2, 3, 4, and 5. That does not exist. PFL isn't paying as much as they once did. The Bellator #2 brand doesn't exist. One isn't paying nearly as much for MMA fighters. GFL was that hope. It doesn't exist. And that's not good for the business.
Now, that comment from Ariel Helwani has sparked a lot of input and comments from Donn Davis of the PFL and Campbell McClaren, who owns Combate Global and says that he created the UFC, but Ariel seems to disagree. Donn Davis responded to this video from Ariel and said, "This kind of misreporting hurts MMA fighters and the MMA industry. Ariel Helwani is wrong about PFL fighter compensation. PFL average fighter pay is up. PFL roster payroll is up. His clickbait is a disservice to fighters and fans, as well as PFL MMA, who serves both." Now, my take on the fighter pay being up is because they're constantly cutting people. So they can pay the fighters more on average if they're constantly cutting the fluff. So moving on to Ariel's response, and he went in on Donn Davis. And I do not disagree with this at all from Ariel Helwani, because Donn Davis has had some of the worst PR appearances we have ever seen. And he's basically openly admitted that he doesn't watch MMA. So Ariel Helwani said, "You're in the midst of one of the worst PR runs in the history of combat sports. I can't open this app without seeing one of your top stars complain about the state of your company. I'm the least of your problems, but I take issue with you claiming my information is incorrect. Are you paying the same to the tournament winners? No, not even close. Did you ask Bellator fighters to rework contracts? Yes. Did you cancel events last year? Yes. Are you holding events at Universal Studios circa WCW in 1994? Look it up. I know you're new to this, thus generating little to no gate revenue? Yes. In fact, it continues to baffle me how few tickets you're able to sell in America after all these years. I've asked you to come on my show, what is it, 5 or 6 times now, to talk about some of these things and your upcoming fights, and you continue to refuse. Why is that, Donn? The only one that has been a disservice to the sport are the Johnny-come-lately promoters who think they can ride this MMA wave by convincing investors to gamify the fight game, season, standing, playoffs. Nonsense. You know everything I said is true. Continue writing posts on LinkedIn to your current or potential investors, surely. Continue talking about Fight Matrix. I'll continue to tell the truth. All right. There's a lot there, okay? And Ariel's cooking. This is not inaccurate information from Ariel, literally at all. It's all facts. As much as a lot of you guys dislike Ariel, he is not wrong here. And then Campbell McClaren, who owns or operates Combate Global and takes credit for being a co-creator of the UFC, he says, Ariel, Donn and I are in agreement that you promoted GFL to the detriment of our businesses and to fighters' futures. Do not criticize Donn for Bellator fighter complaints. Without him, they would all be unemployed. He tried. Attack Coker's ridiculous business model. This is the thing that bothers me because, for one, Combate Global is completely irrelevant. It's not up there with PFL, UFC, anything even close, even GFL, which hasn't even had an event yet. Combate Global is essentially Latin America's LFA or Cage Fury or all of those regional promotions that you have in the US. It's essentially Latin America's version of that. And it's not in any means a global, international, serious promotion that's going to ever compete with the UFC, much less the PFL. So another thing that I take issue with here is saying that you promoted GFL to the detriment of our businesses. Ariel Helwani was the one that had Donn Davis on more than anybody and gave PFL all the platform in the world because they had some sort of a potential to rival the UFC. Now, obviously, we know that they will never rival the UFC. But then you have these irrelevant people that are kind of just jumping on the bandwagon as like, oh yeah, my promotion's failing too. And it's Helwani's fault. So Helwani responded and he said, Campbell, I appreciate the fact that you are trying to incorporate your amazingly irrelevant company into this conversation. You asked me why I covered GFL. I told you I cover the good and the bad of the fight game. My coverage is not an endorsement. In fact, I said multiple times they were dead on arrival. What I don't cover is irrelevance, and that's what you and your company are and have been for some time. I'm sorry that you feel like you don't get the credit that I don't feel you deserve for the birth of the UFC. I know that has to sting, but go troll someone else. The act is tired. In my opinion, this was 10-8s and 10-7s all across the board for Ariel. Essentially, these failing fight promoters have decided to single out of all the MMA YouTubers, out of all the voices that say GFL's dead, PFL's dead, the state of MMA is not in a good place right now. You have all of these failing promoters that go after the one guy, journalism-wise, that has a lot of enemies in the fight game, which kind of makes him easy to dunk on. And I'm on Ariel's side on this. I think, Ariel has covered everything from good and bad, irrelevant and semi-irrelevant to a certain degree, propped up the PFL, the GFL, Misfits, Riyadh Seasons Boxing, different things on DAZN, Jake Paul, all these different types of events. But then these failing promoters that can't seem to put together a successful organization with a serious rights package for the broadcasting, they somehow deem it to be Helwani's fault, which is confusing to me. So, in my opinion, Ariel Helwani just covers the sport the same way I do. Shortcomings by the promoters and their ability to generate interest in the product is not the fault of the person talking about it. If you have a restaurant and a food critic comes in and you serve them cold food, you serve them cold, undercooked food, and he writes a bad review, you blame the chef. You don't blame the guy that ate the shitty food. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts down below. I know Helwani is not the most liked figure in MMA, but I think he's completely in the right here. And Let me know what you think about GFL. Will they ever hold an event? Because I'm trying to see Dylan Dennis and Tony Ferguson. Did you like this video? Then like and subscribe down below. I also do multiple live streams per week, along with behind the scenes content and members only live streams for our channel members. So become a channel member for access to bonus content. It's only $5 per month and it greatly helps the channel's growth. I also do a podcast with my best friend Bo, and I have a non-MMA channel as well called Wyatt's World. You can check both of those out linked below.